Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson.
And Deborah, you know, we loaded up the news gathering van this week.
Yes.
You know, with the gigantic telescopic pole on top of it,
Satellite dish.
Satellite dish,
Yeah.
so we could, you know, we left the corporate headquarters high atop of the Blackwater River. And we took a little trip over to Escambia County.
Over the bridge.
We crossed the bridge, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason that we crossed the bridge, and I think you've learned by now, watching our show, no matter what the subject matter is, accountability, transparency, the Sunshine Law is something that we have decided that we're going to make sure our government follows those. Even though they reluctantly scream and holler and hold on to the handrail, we're still going to try to make them do that.
It's also nice if it could be entertaining.
All right.
When they do it.
And so this week's trip was to Escambia County, and we've discussed it before, the consolidation study.
Yes.
Which is looking at consolidating services in Escambia County, the city of Pensacola, Century, right?
Yes.
In the county, what all they can.
Well, they could have consolidated services, only they decided instead of doing that, they want to move towards consolidating all the political entities themselves, like
Right.
Jacksonville did.
Right.
Except that they're going to keep it looks like they're going to keep the constitutional officers separate.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that's not going to happen.
And so what brought our interest to go into this meeting is of course we consider ourselves alternative media.
Yes.
There's another source of alternative media in Escambia County, Progressive Pensacola.
ProgressivePensacola.com.
Actually, I got a chance to meet the proprietor of that organization, Derek Cosson, and we had noticed online that he had looked at some emails of this commission that we speak of, the Consolidation Commission, and he raised concerns that there had been violations of the Sunshine Law.
Yes. Specifically, members of the commission had sent emails with some questions and I believe with some opinion out. There were no return emails. And so the commission members in question, their position was, well, it didn't violate the Sunshine Law because we only sent something out. There was no return. There was no conversation involved.
And that was their position.
Right.
But I will say, and look, I haven't looked at every email, but you are going to see in some videotape that I do intend on looking at every email. But the few emails that I have looked at, there is an email that says, "Hey, I'm concerned that this language is too strict. I think you should word it this way." And there's a return email that says, "Okay, I see what you're saying there." So there's.
Well, here's this is specifically cited in the Progressive Pensacola article. Justice Bell and Justice Ken Bell is the chairman of the Consolidation Commission.
Right.
Emailed Commissioners Lander and Fleming asking, quote, "Do we want to recommend that the consolidated government include the town of Century?" End quote. That substantial question under Florida sunshine laws should not be addressed or discussed outside of a properly noticed public meeting.
Right. And look, we have found, and I certainly want to be fair to the people that are on commissions. And let me say this up front. I do not want it to be a deterrent for good citizens to be on a board because they may be questioned.
Right.
But I am obligated to say these citizens that want to be on the board need to be aware of the responsibilities that they have to the citizens, to the law, in all of that. And it's a close call on this. I'm not going to say it's a criminal. I'm not going to say it's a violation. It might not have been on purpose. I am going to agree with Ms. Sharon Barnett, who is also on the commission, when she says, "I believe you're flying dangerously close to the flame."
Yeah.
I certainly agree with her comment.
And she is also an attorney. She's
Right.
actually litigated several sunshine issues on behalf of citizens who have had concerns in Escambia County.
Now, of course, I had a few concerns, and ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a video clip with yours truly up there
Well, what happened was that the commission chair, Judge Bell, was upset. He seemed to be upset with Mr. Coase, and he called him out during the meeting. And so we have a tape of that where he's talking about his position, and then we have Ms. Barnett, who did not agree with him.
Right.
And then we have Derek Cosin from Progressive Pensacola, who actually went up and defended himself.
Actually kind of reminded me of me.
Yeah.
If you will notice, he's holding a book in his hands, and that is the handbook of the Florida Sunshine Law.
Which he knows backward and forward.
Yeah, which he read directly from that.
Yes.
And look, the important thing is, and one of the things that I said to the commission, is that the perception of the citizens of your actions will determine if you're successful or not. And it is important. If the perception of the citizens are bad, then it tanks. And you know, I'm proud that Santa Rosa Week went over there. You know, it is my belief, and look, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about this on this show before. You see stuff here that you're never going to see in any other media. Okay, they write some good stories about weeds in the media.
Well, and I think that's what I took away from that was it looks like we have a sort of a nascent independent media now starting over in the Escambia, Pensacola area. Right. With this blog. And I mean, we've had media that purports to be independent for some time. Yeah. And I don't know, you know, how right. That's a matter of definition. But this is somebody who's actually gone in there and pissed people off, which is if you're doing your job as, right. as a newspaper reporter, that's going to happen from time to time.
Well, as we have found.
Yes, we have.
We at the point in time when the flack is getting heavy, you know you're over the target.
Well, I think what I've encountered here, as well as over there, time and time again, is a sort of attitude, how dare you even ask the question? That's a set and concrete attitude.
You're impugning my integrity, Miss Nelson.
Well, no, you have no right to question me, period. I know what's best. Sit down and shut up, etc., etc. And
I'm smarter than you.
Right.
I'm better looking than you, so you just sit down right. and be quiet.
Well, that's something that, you know, that I personally, I mean, we both have encountered that. And so now we're seeing where there are voices that are being started
There's a backlash to that.
There's a backlash, and hopefully it'll grow.
But we, the people, have to take the government back.
Well, and it looks like we may have a ghost of a media now coming in that aren't beholden right. to big advertisers as the mainstream media here and some of the so-called independent media here have been. And it looks like maybe we might get some information out. Yeah,
well, and that's very important. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to enjoy the clips, and we will go ahead and bid you farewell. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you find it educational. I'm Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson.
Good night.
It's not improper to pose the question. The impropriety comes when there's a discussion or a debate or a dialogue or a decision made. It's best to avoid it, no question. It's best to avoid the question. But from my review of it, I have seen no evidence of a response to a substantive question.
I think it's a very close question. In all honesty, and as a lawyer, I say this. When Ms. Lander sends a draft, that's in effect her statement. When there's a response back to that, that's arguably discussion, that's decision making. It's very close. And that's what troubled me. It was flying too close to the flame, if not in it. And with respect to the position papers, the members of the commission can go to the Florida Attorney General's website and note there that the Childers decision is referenced. And it states there that in that case, the Sunshine Law violation where Mr. Childers unilaterally announced his position to other commissioners at an unannounced meeting